And we're back, algebra students. This is where we left off on part 1 of adding and subtracting polynomials. I actually want to backtrack a little bit. I know we left off with me explaining how to subtract, but I think it would be best for us to instead talk about addition a little bit more. So let me get rid of that example, ignore that last example from the first part of the video, and let's do another one with addition first, and then we can start jumping into subtraction. So suppose I wanted to add 3x squared. So we're again, the instructions are still the same, adding 3x squared minus x plus 2, this polynomial, plus 16 minus x squared. Alright. This one looks a little bit different. The one that we have here is a trinomial. We have a trinomial here, and here we have a binomial. And this trinomial is written in terms that are decreasing in order of degree. So we got an x squared term, we got an x term, and then we got a constant term. However, this one right here is a binomial and is not written in order of decreasing degree. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this 16x minus x squared, and I'm going to rewrite it. I'm actually going to move the x squared, this negative x squared, I'm going to put it on front. Negative x squared. And this is a positive 16, so I'm going to write this as plus 16. So now I've written this as the x squared term, there is no x term, and then the constant term. So it's in decreasing degree. So we jump from a power of 2 to no power, or no variable in this case. I'm going to work it the same way as I did before. I'm going to stack the two polynomials on top of each other. Let's do a 3x squared minus x plus 2. And I'm going to go ahead and stack this underneath it, except I'm going to be very careful about how I do that. I got my x squared terms here first. Got my x squared terms here first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this negative x squared, I'm going to put it right here. And actually let's skip a line, and we're adding negative x squared. Whoops. I have no x term. There is no x term here, so I leave this blank, and then underneath the 2 I'm going to write plus 16. So now this new organization, the way I've organized this, is going to allow me to combine the like terms and then keep track of the terms that have nothing to combine with. We have our x squared terms here. We have our x terms here. There's only one of them. This has none. And then we have our constant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine 3x squared with negative x squared. That would be positive 2x squared. There's nothing to combine here, so this just stays as minus x. And then 2 plus 16 is going to give me 18. So our answer when we add these two polynomials is going to be 2x squared minus x plus 18. Alright, so let's take a look at, that was adding, right? Let's take a look at subtracting polynomials. Let's do some examples with that. So we're going to write new instructions here, subtract the two polynomials, and we'll toss out some examples here. This almost works exactly the same way. We're going to line up our terms, but before we combine, we're actually going to do a little distribution, which is what I talked about before at the end of the first video. Distribution of the negative, and then just add straight down. So let's start off with this example. Example 1, we'll do 2. So we'll do 7x plus 3. And we're going to subtract off, so that's one polynomial. We're going to subtract off 4x plus 8. Alright, so we're actually going to stack them up first. We have 7x plus 3 we're going to minus parentheses 4x plus 8 and close those parentheses. All right, so very first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this negative here and we're going to distribute it to each term. And then we're going to rewrite this whole thing. We're going to rewrite this as 7x plus 3 minus 4x. And we're going to, it's plus now. So negative times negative 1 times a 4x is minus 4x. Negative 1 times an 8 is minus 8. And after you've distributed the negative, we're just going to add straight down. So 7x plus a negative 4x is going to give me a positive 3x. A 3 adding, if I take 3 and I add negative 8, that would be minus 5. So my answer here would be 3x minus 5. Notice here that the negative, when we distribute, it just changes the sign of each one of my terms. I did have positive 4x up here, and then a positive 8, and when I distribute that negative, it changes this into a negative here and a negative here. So there are some shortcuts. You don't have to write this out every single time, this first part here. There are some shortcuts, but I recommend that you to not skip any steps, at least at the beginning, until you get used to this. And then after you get used to it, yeah, go ahead and skip some of those steps and make things a little bit more simple. All right, so that's our first example. Let's do another example. And let's try this one. Let's try example 2. Same instructions. We're still subtracting the two polynomials, 7x plus 3. And we're going to subtract off. Ooh, we just did that example, didn't we? Whoops, I'm sorry. Erase that. Let's do this one. We're going to step up our game here. We're going to go to 36x squared plus 20x minus 56 minus 56. And we're going to subtract off this other polynomial, which will be 2x squared minus x plus 21. In this case, notice that we're written in decreasing degree. So the exponent here is 2. The exponent here is in this little imaginary 1. There is no variable here, so it goes 2, 1, and then nothing. Again, 2, 1, and then nothing. So they're already written kind of in order. So we don't have to worry about that. This is a trinomial. We got 3 terms, another trinomial here. And so let's take this and let's rewrite it. We got 36x squared plus 20x minus 56. And we're subtracting off 2x squared minus x plus 21. And just like I did before, I'm going to take my negative, distribute, which is all that's going to do is change my sign, right? So this is going to turn into, top stays the same, minus 56. And then I'm going to add negative 2x squared. So negative times a 2x squared is negative 2x squared. A negative times a negative x will be a positive x. And a negative times a positive 21 would be minus 21. All right, so now I'm going to combine these using addition. So 36x squared minus 2x is 34x squared. 20x plus x. Now remember, it's like I'm adding 1x, right? Coefficient of x is 1. So this is plus 21x. Negative 56 minus 21 is going to be negative 77. And I am done. So at this point, after combining these two, after subtracting these two polynomials, I end up with 34x squared plus 21x minus 77. And that's the basic procedure for adding and subtracting polynomials. There are a few cases, like situations where there's missing terms that you might have to deal with, kind of like what happened here, right? Remember, we left a little blank space here because we didn't have any x term here. And sometimes you might have to reorganize them just like we did here. So that does happen. But for the most part, this is the basic gist between polynomials. It's really nothing different than what we've already been doing with numbers. It just looks different, right? So we are still, in this case, because there's terms that we can't combine, sometimes we have to find workaways around that kind of stuff, like using the distributive property to distribute a negative and that kind of stuff. So as always, if you have questions, email your teachers, or if you have concerns, email us. We will push these out. Obviously, if you're seeing this got pushed out. There will be another lesson coming on Wednesday. Thursday of this week. It will also have to do with polynomials. And at that point, the same day that we release the new lesson, we'll release the solutions to the assignment, which was sent out in the email. So hope you all stay safe. Again, we miss you all, and hopefully you are enjoying some time with the family and not getting too stir crazy up there. So we'll talk to you soon.